メジャー翻訳速報。ドジャースは来年の大きな目標に向かって動き出しています。チーム編成から若手の育成まで、現地メディアも注目する話題をお届けします。チームの強さの秘訣、若手育成の取り組みについて、このチャンネルではメジャーリーグの現地放送局の様子を翻訳してお届けしています。お見逃しのないよう今のうちにチャンネル登録をお願いいたします。
Rarely goes on to win the World Series.
True.
And the Dodgers did it last year. And boy, there's probably more coming, because if you were to say that the Dodgers have a chance to be the team of the 2020s, 2 World Series already, 2 of the 4 belong to the Dodgers.
Right.
They've got this core locked up. There's probably going to be more star power on the way in there. Who knows what they do with Teoscar Hernandez? We're going to talk to Brandon Gomes about that when we get him on the program here coming up in a moment. But this is how difficult it is, right? Top spenders during the offseason and where they finished the last 4 years. San Diego, Rangers, Mets, they all missed the postseason. It's not like they got there and lost the World Series. They didn't even get there. Let's go back the previous 5 years. Again, spotty results. Angels spent a lot of money in 2019 when they re-upped Trout, missed the postseason. Cubs lost in the wild card. Dodgers lost the World Series in 2017 to Houston. The Giants spent a ton of money and lost in the division series. And the Marlins, that was the year that they re-upped Stanton to that huge number. They missed the postseason altogether. So again, you don't just win the winter and then win the World Series. What the Dodgers did was pretty special.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is they won the winter by making the moves that they did. Obviously, Otani's a big piece of that, but they also had a foundation built. You know, they still have a staple of young players that they continue to bring to the big leagues. You know, you look at Paez, you look at Gavin Lux, you start looking around at some of the young players they continue to drop in here and there. I mean, Cody Bellinger came through the system. Jock Peterson came through the system.
That's right.
And they continued. Will Smith. I mean, you look at what they've been able to do. Walker Buehler. I mean, you think about what they've done. We talk about the big star money or the trades you made for Mookie or whatever, or Freddie Freeman, but the foundation is always laid with the minor league system.
One of my favorite stories on this kind of incarnation of the Dodgers roster is Max Muncy, because he was never a star, right? And he was a reclamation project off the Oakland roster. A converted catcher who made himself a better player when he got to the Dodgers, and he's now almost an indispensable part of their success. So it's not just we're going to outbid everybody for Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts.
Right.
It's we grabbed a couple guys, we made them better, we put them in our system, and Muncy's a great example of that.
Well, and a lot of that is they have great coaching. The one thing they have not gotten away from is coaching. Mm-hmm. They have the analytics. They did a lot of stuff. Diamond Kinetics was out front, all those type of things, and they've done all those things. But they've been able to mix the two. We keep hearing about that a lot. Old school, new school. They've done both. And what the Dodgers have done is they've kept baseball people to coach the players to say, here's what the numbers are showing you. Here's how you develop it.
Yeah.
It's one thing to say, hey, your chase rate is bad. Well, how do I fix it?
Yeah.
They got baseball people that are teaching the game. So they've been able to do the whole thing, man.
You know, yesterday, I'm glad we started talking about this, because yesterday we were having the discussion on the Marlins managerial opening, the only one that's out there right now. And I had the idea that maybe the next Marlins manager is going to come from the Dodgers, because Clayton McCullough's name has been mentioned a lot. I threw out Miguel Rojas as a player manager. I forgot one dude, and I'm glad I have a chance to clean that up. What about Bob Guerin getting back into the managerial business? Right? He's been a bench coach. He's been with Doc for a while now, managed the A's. He's got chops. I still think that the next Marlins manager is going to come from the Dodgers' brain. It's going to come from Blue.
Well,
you know, that success breeds everybody wants to, like, it's like in college football, right? You have a competitive program.
You have the tree.
The tree. Like the coordinators get head coaching jobs.
Like my boy Dan Lanning. Came from Georgia. He started with Nick Saban, Alabama.
Example.
Now he's the #1 ranked team in the country. Just saying.
Let me ask you this question on the Dodgers. Do you think that they're prioritizing bringing back Teoscar Hernandez? He was an integral part of their lineup last year. But there's other places they could go for that spot on the market. How do you think they've used it
I think Teoscar's a wait and see. Would we like to have you back? Absolutely, we love you. But if we can get Soto, sorry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of where it's at.
This guy was so good for them, man.
He was great.
I mean, there was a time when
you have to go above and beyond him for him not to be back. And the only above and beyond would be Soto, right?
Santander.
Even Santander doesn't bring, I think, the defense that he brings in left field and all the different things. I think it's a different mix.
If Baltimore loses Santander,
they're going to lose him.
Okay, well, then they better prioritize this dude.
Yeah.
Because this is the next best option as a corner outfielder that can hit for power on the market. It isn't so.
And I thought Teoscar, again, almost like Edman did for me, watching him play, watching Tommy Edman every day for 2 and 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Because you don't watch every team every day unless you're following that club. That's what I love about the playoffs. He took me to a whole nother level of respect as him as a player. I liked him, but, man, he went to another level. Teoscar did that. I didn't know his defense was as good as it is. He made some great plays. Running in, catching balls, going back over his shoulder.
Throwing people
out. He showed he can really defend that position.
Yeah.
And he hits, obviously in the postseason, you're facing the best pitching. He hits the best pitching.
Well, we hope to continue this Dodger thread after a quick break because we're still efforting getting Brandon Gomes on the phone talking to the Dodgers GM. 2-2 to Harvey Keene.
You do that pretty good.
More Dodger talk coming up next. That's Dodger reliever Joe Kelly on the Baseball Isn't Boring podcast. He appears on that frequently, talking about the New York Yankees. Said they might be ranked 8th or 9th as the best playoff team. Didn't feel like Joe really gave him a lot to do. What's your reaction? We watched this a couple times earlier, but you're seeing it for the first time. So what do you think? What do you think of the comments?
I mean, I'm almost with him. You know, when I started looking at the Yankees' run, what exposed the Yankees was their lack of fundamentals. They beat you with home runs, and the home runs covered up their mistakes. And they didn't run the bases well. They don't catch the ball very well. They got to clean it up. Do they have some talented players? Jazz Chisholm transformed that team athletically. Mm-hmm. So you think about what they did all year to get to even that point where they made the trade to get him. They don't get him. They don't get where they got to. And so I'm concerned about where they're headed. They may lose Soto, and now what? Because he helped take you over the top. But they've got some things to clean up.
I just think it was the transparency, like,
and there's some
Joe he just let it rip. He didn't hold back.
You don't really, you know what?
He didn't respect the Yankees at all.
But I will say this: pitchers can say that because they got the ball. Can you imagine a position player saying, "Look, that staff isn't very good."
You know what, though?
And then they can sit there and throw at you all year.
Joe Kelly is one of my favorites because he is just gutturally honest. And when he did the wham-wham face to Carlos Correa, that's still one of the funniest things that we've ever seen.
That's one of the best.
But it does get you to thinking, like, if you were to kind of rework the rankings of all the playoff teams, now that we watched it play out, now that we know what the results were.
I don't think 8th. I think the Yankees are.
Well, can I give you mine?
Okay, let me
give you mine. React to mine.
Let's do this.
You know, Joe Kelly got us to thinking about
I'm
this.
I'm going to write mine down while you're talking.
As an exercise, Harold, I got the Braves as 12th.
Wow.
They just were a shadow of themselves. I got Kansas City at number 11. They didn't click. Pasquantino was back, but it wasn't enough. Ursic was great in the postseason. I got Baltimore at number 10.
Yeah,
they were a different team after the break than they were in the first half of the season. Number 9 for me, and again, this is all my personal thing, so don't get on me, everybody. Houston was number 9. I just got them as a middle-of-the-pack team. I think they would have beaten the Braves in a World Series. I think they're better than Baltimore and Kansas City. That's how I did it, like head-to-head. I got the Mets at number 8. Look, they caught fire. They had a lot of magic. But I think there were 7 teams in the postseason that were better than the Mets. Sorry. Number 7, I got Cleveland. They perennially disrespected. That's a really good team, and I wrestled with where to put them. Here are my top 6 as we keep going. And I know that's a little controversial having the Braves last, but their lineup was so decimated by injury. I got
don't have a problem with that.
Okay, you're good with that one?
Yeah.
I mean, they came a Devin Williams changeup away from getting past the Mets and maybe even beating the Dodgers in an LCS. Number 5 from last year's postseason teams, the Tigers, because they played so well. Their bullpen was so doggone.
You're digging the Tigers. I'm not that high on it.
Okay, fair enough. Number 4 for me was the Yankees.
Yeah.
Because I think, not 8th like Joe Kelly kind of said. I got the Yankees at number 4 Because I think the number 2 and 3 teams also would have beaten them had they gotten to the World Series.
2 and 3.
Phillies at number 3. And the number 2 team, I still think San Diego was a better team than what they showed in games 4 and 5 of the NLCS against the Dodgers.
Yes.
And number 1, you can't argue the Dodgers just rolled everybody. I think that
I
LA,
like
San
your
Diego,
top 4.
LA, San
really
Diego,
do.
and Philly all would have beaten the Yankees in the World Series. My personal guess.
I agree with that.
It's all speculation.
And I think the Yankees, they ended up where they should be. You know, once the Astros lost, it changed the American League. The Astros did not show up. Biggest disappointment
path for
in the
Yankees.
whole sport
Yeah.
was how the Astros performed their first round. And they were out because they had a team that could run to the World Series. They did.
Agreed.
And once they were out, Yankees went, thank you. Detroit was not going to beat them. Cleveland was not going to beat them. You go head-to-head in 7 games, 5 games. You might get them in 3, but you're not getting them in 5.
Yeah.
And you definitely weren't going to get them in the 7.
Right, right.
That's how I looked at it.
But, you know, the thing with the Yankees, too, is that we didn't get a good version of the Yankees for a week and a half in the World Series. They didn't play 5 clean innings at a time.
No.
I mean, honestly, even Yankee fans, you know, I mean, we live in the Northeast. Even Yankee fans were like, they didn't deserve to win. They played badly. They did. Yeah. Now, they're a better team than I think, you know, to say that they're the 9th-ranked postseason team. But you mentioned, I think you hit the key point. They covered up a lot of warts with 3-run homers all year long because they slug.
And look, Stanton became Stanton in the postseason because Judge was scuffling. Yeah. Stanton carried him through. You were able to have guys pick things up. Soto was amazing. And here's the one thing I will say that I'm tired of hearing. Aaron Boone does not get a good shake. What he did to make this work for this team, he's not dealt the greatest hand.
You're right.
I'm sorry.
I'm glad
but everybody acts like Aaron Boone has this pleasurable hand. He doesn't. We just talked about all the warts. And he still got a team to the World Series.
He had to find a closer in a guy that's been in the league for 10 years.
Thank you.
That got hot at the right time.
He did not have a lineup that is flowing. They didn't defend. You think Aaron didn't know all this?
Right.
Aaron's a baseball guy. I'm tired of people thinking Aaron Boone's not a great baseball player, person or manager or coach. People, Aaron Boone is I can't even say his name. Aaron Boone is a great baseball person. He understands what he's dealt with. Realize that.
What's not to like? He's tremendous.
I hear this all the time. Let's get rid of Boone.
Who's Aaron Burr, by the way?
I don't know that. Aaron Burr was like in Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was actually vice president at one time.
Yeah. Excellent point. But no, I'm glad you said it, because I hear a lot of that crap, too. Oh, Boone doesn't know how to manage a bullpen. Shut up, Johnny Bag of Donuts. Yes, he does. There was some baseball news, and it was later in the afternoon, early evening, depending on where you live, that we learned of Shohei Otani's surgery, successful surgery, to repair the left labrum tear that he suffered during the World Series on a stolen base attempt in the 8th inning when the Dodgers were leading 4-1.
It just didn't look like much. I mean, the way he rolled around, yes, but the slide itself.
And we could tell later on in the series, the way he was holding that shoulder, that he was gripping his uniform, he wasn't effective at the plate, that was troubling him. He is expected to be ready for spring training, and there are some recent examples of labrum tears for players 4 to 5 months away. They come back strong. Josh Young a couple years ago in the minors. Mark Sales, our great researcher, reminded me of Logan Otani in 2023. Did it on a swing in April and missed about 4+ months and came back. So they're expecting a similar timeline for Otani. I mean, everybody collectively gasped when he stayed down on the ground.
Yeah, but the interesting thing with Otani is he pitches. And they're playing that big series in Japan. Mm-hmm. Don't tell me you don't want him starting that first game in Japan.
You mean on the mound or at the
Yes. So how's he going to be able to pull that arm through? How's it going to work? He can't do anything.
It may slow down
the pitching. So it slows down the pitching. It slows down everything.
Yeah, I didn't even think of the early opening. The Dodgers do not have a lot of time before they get into camp. We'll talk to Brandon Gomes about that when we have him on the program a little bit later on. Yeah. You wanted the definition of a labral tear.
Yes.
And here it is.
All right.
For the unindoctrinated, this is according to Penn Medicine, and we have a noted Penn Medicine physician ready to verify this slab, if you will. Shoulder labrum is a type of rubbery cartilage that lines the shoulder socket called the glenoid. We're getting deep into the anatomical stuff today. The labrum helps keep your shoulder joint in place. When the labrum tears, you may feel shoulder pain or experience shoulder instability. Thank you. Labral tears are usually caused by overuse or injury and commonly accompany other injuries to the shoulder.
So the reason I asked that.
We got Dr. D-Row. He vouched for all that.
I used to be one of those other guys, Matty.
Oh, did you tear your
When in doubt, get the peak on the try.
Peak on the tries. It'll fix your shoulder tears.
See, but I always think about a little different with Shohei because he's a left-handed hitter. All right, most people are going to pull the bottom hand through and you get this. Like Tatis, for example. Shoulder kept popping out of socket, right? He's pulling the bottom hand through, or even Corbin Carroll with Arizona, pulling the bottom hand through, and you get this. Shohei's, it's his top hand. So he uses that top hand quite a bit, but my point is it's almost like swinging a hammer every time you swing a bat. And I asked him at the World Series, how many ounces is his bat? I thought it was going to be like 35 ounces or something like that. He swings a light bat, 31 and a half ounces. That's a light bat for his size. So I thought, it had to maybe come earlier on a swing and miss, and then he did something when he slid. So I think it was adding up with time. And if you look at some of the swings and misses he had, you go back and look at it all the way back to the San Diego series when you're trying to leave the house every swing, you're going to strain some things.
Yeah. And if you're trying to obscure the medicals, and people are going to know, right? I mean, it was clear that something was wrong with him.
Yeah.
It's like trying to sneak a cheese past a rat.
Trying to sneak a piece of cheese past a rat.
We got all of our D-Row soundboard stuff. Let's go to social media for this from David O'Brien, who covers the Braves. This is interesting. Ronald Acuna Jr. and Spencer Strider won't be ready for opening day, according to Alex Anthopoulos. This is according to Matt Gelb at the GM meetings. First time he said they won't be ready, though indicated previously it could be a month or two into the season before Acuna can get going. They'll evaluate as they go along. What are your initial reactions to the disclosure and the news? So it's two different things I'm going to ask you to react to here.
Okay. Two things. One, I think by him setting it out there, you tamper expectation, you get it out in front, but also you tell the players, you're not coming back opening day. Slow down. Because every player is like, I'm going to be back for spring, I'm going to be opening day. That doesn't matter who you are. That's what you're trying to do.
Right.
I think he said we're going to push that timetable back. Number two, my concern is with Acuna because he got hurt last May. And here we are talking about he's not going to be ready for maybe a month into the season. That's a year. Now, I know he had the surgery 2 years ago. Played, had that huge year, and now he gets injured like a month into the season, and now we're saying it's going to be a year before he comes back. This is a young man. He's got 4 more years left on that contract, and he's got a big career ahead of him. But that injury to that knee, that's worrisome to me.
Yeah.
Will he be the player that he was before? And we're looking at a year from the injury this season to when he gets back on the field. That's a long time.
Well, and I guess, you make a good point. There would be a little concern there if you're a Braves fan. I think that by Alex getting out to your earlier reaction, but Alex to get out in front of this and say, hey, he doesn't want to answer questions all winter about when they're going to be ready.
Right.
He set the timeline. He's put a very broad bit of canvas out there for them to get to 100% before everybody starts bugging him.
You have any
when
concerns?
Are we going to see them? I hear what you're saying about Acuna. If I'm a Braves fan, maybe, but I'm not. I'm not that concerned. I'd be more concerned about the pitcher just because I think pitching injuries are a little scarier, and you don't know what version of Spencer Strider you're going to get when he comes back. But, look, you assume that their medical staff's going to get it all cleaned up and everything's going to be fine, even if it takes an extra couple of weeks or months in this case. Related, kind of, is this from Evan Grant. Chris Young of the Rangers said that Nate Eovaldi has declined his player option, but the Rangers still have, quote, great interest in his returning. However, Mark Bowman covers the Braves. Eovaldi could be a top target for Atlanta. This is fascinating, and I think for the Braves, a team under Alex Anthopoulos and under other heads of baseball operations, a team that has really struck gold on more than one occasion with older starters on the free agent market who other teams may have discarded for mileage concerns.
Right.
They've done okay by this. Check this out. Anibal Sanchez was 34, posted a sub-3 ERA in over 100 innings in 2018. We know that Charlie Morton's been great for them. Chris Sale was one of the greatest acquisitions and re-ups in the last 10 years in our sport. You remember when the Braves got Aaron Harang? I think he was like 37 years old and gave him 200 innings one year. So
Yeah.
they do a pretty good job in finding guys like that. And I wouldn't even put Eovaldi in that category yet because he's still at the peak of his powers. I think he's going to have a very robust market. And if Atlanta's involved, it's not a guarantee that Eovaldi, even though he's a Texas native, is going to go back to the Strangers.
I think he's going to have a huge market. I mean, we're talking about 2 teams. I think there's going to be 15 teams. Who doesn't need a starter?
We were saying yesterday the Dodgers are going to be calling him, too.
I mean, the Yankees need a starter. The Dodgers, that's the world. Every playoff team that we watched needs starting pitching. The whole industry. And older pitchers are in vogue right now.
Right.
You look at what the Royals were able to do. You look at what San Diego did. You look what teams are doing across the board because the experience pays. And we've cut. I don't need 9 innings from you anymore.
Right.
By saying I need 5 innings brings the older pitcher back into the fold.
And if he said no to $20 million for 2025, there's got to be a multi-year thing for him out there. Not to mention all these older guys. They're very good at kind of the new science of how to keep themselves in shape.
They take your blood, spin it,
Right.
shoot it back into the injury. Man.
Welcome back. Time for Front Office Insights presented by Sage. And as promised, Brandon Gomes of the Dodgers taking a little time with us from the GM meetings in San Antonio this morning. Brandon, thanks for the time. Congratulations on everything that you guys achieved this year. And I know Harold just asked you this during the commercial, but at what point do you get out of celebration mode and get back to work for 2025?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, guys. I mean, felt like right when we got here, the only downside of winning is that you're certainly backed up as far as planning for the off season. But I'll happily take that college cram session any day.
I hear that. Hey, tell us about the parade because you didn't get it in 2020 and you got it now. So tell us about it.
Yeah. It felt like 2020 got rolled up into it. It was incredible. I mean, the number of people you could feel, the energy, the love of our fans and the city of Los Angeles. Like it was electric. I mean, people just like for miles what it felt like. And then on top of the parade to come back home to Dodger Stadium and have that be a packed house as well. Like, I mean, it was. I mean, you have really, really high expectations, and it surpassed those by quite a good amount.
We have so many things to ask you about. I'll try to be efficient with my words here. We got the news that Shohei had the shoulder surgery. I want to know, like, where were you and what were your initial reactions when you saw him try to steal that base, 4-1, 8th inning, he goes down, stays down. From that moment to now, talk about what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know what it was. We were up, watching the game in the box, and obviously he was in serious pain. So we had no idea how it was going to play out. We went down following that to see what our doctors were saying, and we had a really intense 9th inning going on simultaneously. But following that, he examined well enough to go out and play, and there was nothing that was going to stop Shohei from continuing in that series. But, seems like after the surgery, we're in a good place to continue to move forward, and looking forward to him being fully healthy back in 2025.
Hey, Brandon, you're a former pitcher, and you don't just grab your right arm and throw it. You got to use your whole body. And so I was thinking about Shohei with the surgery now. Does that set him back pitching and getting ready for opening day since you guys have such a short window with the left shoulder having to recover?
We'll get into his rehab some and kind of see where things are at. But, as he gets going, we'll obviously err on the side of caution and be playing the long game here. But, the long-term prognosis is that it won't be anything that affects his pitching, long-term.
I know you can't give us all the company secrets here, Brandon, but I'm gonna ask the question anyway because Harold and I were speculating on guys on your roster who are free agents now. Teoscar Hernandez was so good for you guys. I know you love him as a player. I know you love him as a person. To the degree that you're comfortable, where are you as a front office with bringing back Teoscar?
Yeah, I mean, Teo obviously meant a ton to this team. You saw what was on the field, but his impact in the clubhouse, the way he mentored younger guys, he's a special guy on and off the field. So we'll continue to have conversations with Teo. We love him. He knows that, he's, a big part of what we did this year. So we'll keep talking and see how things play out.
Mark Walter at the top. You guys are killers, man. You guys go at it, wanting to win this thing, no doubt about it. So I say that with having a championship won, some people say, that's good, we're good to go. What's your appetite to continue this thing going forward?
Yeah, I mean, our goal every single year is to win a championship, and obviously we've had amazing support from our ownership group year in and year out to do that, and they've always been there to take big swings when we felt like we needed to, and this year's going to be no different. We're ready to go out, and the goal is now to go out and put together another championship caliber team. So even having just won it, that's our goal. No matter what happens each year, you start fresh, and our hope is to be there again next year.
Funny that we're talking about the Dodgers winning another World Series and everything that goes right. And, Clayton Kershaw was not a name that we mentioned a lot because of his inability to pitch, his status. I was a little surprised. Last year, you guys signed him to that contract extension, right, that had a player option, which we learned was declined. Can you clarify what's going on with Clayton? I mean, is he looking for another deal? I'm not sure what the intentions are there.
Yeah, I think for Kersh is kind of see where he's at into the offseason and continue to talk with his family and see how he comes on the other side of a couple of things that he's having done. So obviously we want Kersh back. He wants to be back, but I think it's very much like let's see how these next few months play out to see what position he's in, and our hopes is to continue to have conversations with him and hopefully that Clayton's a Dodger for life.
You seen the sketch for The Ring yet?
I have not, actually.
It's going to be big, I have a feeling.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a small ring. That would be my guess. I don't know much outside of that.
I would imagine that's true. Hey, Brandon, we appreciate the time. Thanks for taking a little moment with us here away from the GM meetings in San Antonio. Congrats once again, and we'll visit with you down the road.
メジャー翻訳速報。ドジャースの躍進には目を見張るものがありましたね。若手の育成と大型補強をうまく組み合わせ、見事にワールドシリーズを制覇。大谷翔平選手の肩の手術も無事成功し、2025年のシーズンに向けて順調な回復が期待されます。チームはさらなる補強も視野に入れており、来シーズンの戦いぶりが今から非常に楽しみですね。皆様のご感想もぜひコメント欄でお聞かせください。ご視聴ありがとうございました。